You must be Captain Bledsoe.
And you must be out of your mind.
And yes, with that, we bid adieu to Ethan Hunt and the Mission Impossible franchise. We're going to be talking right now about Mission Impossible Final Reckoning here on the Bladtcast. Very excited for the panel we have here. I'm Christian Bladt. This is Trucker Andy. And it's really important to make the distinction. I'm Christian Bladt. That's Trucker Andy. We're actually not the same person.
Some people are too stupid to understand that.
Even with a law degree, some people are too stupid to understand that we're actually different people. It would get really confusing if your brother Joe Sixpack came on because he kind of looks like you. And yet I feel like I don't look like him. I don't really feel like I look like you, but I have to, sometimes point out, no, I'm Christian Bladt. That's Trucker Andy from the All Apologies podcast. Great to have you here, Andy. And if we're going to be having any kind of cinematic conversation, we have a man that we often refer to as a name that sounds a lot like Ethan Hunt. It rhymes with it, but it's not actually Ethan Hunt. It is the great Adam Hughezy, the H-Man Hughes. Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm good, and I'm so glad you played that scene because, as you can tell, I'm cosplaying as Tom Cruise in the shower. I love how they go for hyper-realism in these films. So they've got Ethan Hunt in a shower with water coming down his back, but his hair is slicked backwards. That makes a lot of scientific sense.
He's got to always look good. I do love the fact the stunt that we'll obviously talk about, the airplane stunt. The wind pressure is so much. There's literally no way to make his hair not look like all stupid, and all pushed all the way back. And usually, I think Tom goes to great lengths to see that. And we are appreciating everybody who is joining us live. Our great friend, the great Dominicus Saxon. Get in, losers. We're going blatting. And yes, we absolutely are. So, and he's trying to show off to us. He got some new security cameras around his area, and he's eating a steak for breakfast. Life is good. I would say that life sounds particularly good there in Idaho, Dominicus Saxon. So we appreciate you being here. Now, Andy, my understanding is that I think you had told me it was for the Patreon for your show, All Apologies. You kind of reviewed the entire Mission Impossible series, right?
That's right. Leading up to it, week by week, we did one through, Dead Reckoning, and then we talked about Tom Cruise's appearance on Pat McAfee promoting this last week. So, because we didn't want to. Are we talking spoilers today?
Yeah, we'll get into the spoilers for sure. And and I'm glad you mentioned the Pat McAfee appearance because I do have a little of that.
Okay, I still have it too. If you didn't, but.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll definitely let you share what you have from it in a moment. But we can talk about all the spoilers. I think that. The ultimate spoiler that Ethan Hunt fails and doesn't save the world and everyone dies at the end. That's actually a huge surprise. No, there's no real spoiler in this movie because you're like, well, the stakes are too high. He's going to have to succeed. I mean, even the last James Bond movie, the only real spoiler was like, well, they kill him at the end, but don't worry, he was successful.
Yeah. Well, there's a main character death that's significant, but
that's true. That is, but I think that Hughezy probably cheered during that part, if I had to guess. Are you a big Ving Rhames fan?
Mostly yes, but I love the fact that I saw this in IMAX so that I could see his nose in life-size shape.
Yeah,
like he's the only person I know who works out to build up his nostrils. Like it's expanded here. His nose actually looks like what Marcellus's arsehole looks like in Pulp Fiction.
I want to see Ving Rhames wearing like a little prison snitch beanie and then another tiny one on his bulbous nose going the other way. Two beanies, one giant melon.
Hughezy, have you ever done any exercises that would help you exercise your nose? Are there any that come to mind, or not really? You can't think of anything that might help you flex your nostrils?
If say Donna is listening, or maybe Haley Atwell, I'll show them. Hey,
Yeah.
I hope this doesn't get taken out of context as sexist, whatever. But that Haley Atwell's got some big fucking tits on her.
I think that because of the fact of what you're saying is just the truth, I don't think it can be taken out of context. And I like that there's only like the one scene they could figure out to like put her in a tank top, when he's coming out of the water. And I was like, oh, that's really all they had in this one. They're like, well, we have to show them off at some point. But
did anybody see this in IMAX where
I
those
did.
things are coming at you in
Yeah.
4D or whatever? That was the only thing.
I turned that room into 40x screening pretty quickly. Like, oh god, ectoplasm! There's a ghost in here.
Or double DX. Yeah.
Ordinarily, I can't flex in front of Hughezy about the size screen that I watch something on, but the IMAX screen at Universal Studios up the hill from me is the largest in the Los Angeles area. So I took the time to go see it there, and I forgot what it's like when you're at one of those huge, like Air and Space Museum style, you're actually surrounded by it, and it's the big stadium seating. And I was glad I saw this in IMAX because I wanted to be able to laugh at Tom Cruise's hair at the different stages throughout this. Hughezy, you've seen it twice, right?
Yes, I luckily won tickets to get to see it about 10 days early at what was known as the regional premiere over here. And I absolutely loved it. And I couldn't wait to see it again. Weirdly, I liked it better the second time because the Mission Impossible is my all-time favorite film franchise.
Well, I'm sorry. You mean favorite film franchise that is not about racing cars, right? I mean, it's your favorite franchise that doesn't have Paul Walker in half the films.
Yeah, well, you didn't let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's my favorite film franchise outside of a Jason Statham spinoff. So, so it was almost like expectations were unmatchable.
Yeah.
So the first time I thought, yeah, that was great and intense, but I had to change this, change that, and then the second time I was like, this may actually be the best one.
I remember my feeling was that I think I was a little bit more on the edge of my seat and just, engrossed in the previous one, which I guess is 7, Dead Reckoning. And it also might have something to do with the fact that the show time I went to for this was 10:15 p.m. So I didn't fall asleep, but I'm not at my best when a movie's ending at like 1 a.m. So one of the reasons I wanted to mention, Andy, that you went and reviewed all of them is I would have loved to have had the chance to do that, because in my mind, they're all great except for 2, which I still don't think is very good, but you've recently rewatched them. So what did you learn rewatching these previous 7, and how did that inform your expectations heading into Final Reckoning?
That is a good question, because Hughezy was coming at me in the chat about my declaration that Rogue Nation was possibly the worst one, but this is a good conversation to have the relevancy of 2. Because
is it because Alec Baldwin's in that one and just automatically it already loses a star from the ranking?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
The only problem I have with Rogue Nation is the same problem I have with this one. These underwater sequences, rewatching it after you already know what happened, especially in a 3-hour movie, I can't picture myself enjoying that sequence rewatch. I mean, Hughesy's saying he saw it twice and liked it more the second time. Is the tension and the slowdown of whatever 35 minutes of him underwater, is it as interesting the second time?
I think, yeah, go ahead, Hughezy. Sorry.
But there's one of the things in that underwater sequence. See, one of my issues with 7 is that there's so much information to take in at once, and every scene has like 4 different story devices going at once. It's kind of like when you start a new video game, and you just get like this onslaught of information, just like nonstop. Like, you need to upgrade this, and don't forget to unlock this, and you go, whoa! I'm just going to play a snake or fucking Candy Crush. This is too much information. And with that scene specifically on the subway,
Submarine.
There's the submarine. So I'm hungry again. I've had a dealing with a hangover.
Or you're thinking about some of Jared Fogel's extracurricular activities, and that's what makes you hungry.
What a great guy. But the thing about that scene, and I've noticed this happened in Seven a lot, and it happens in other films and TV shows I hate, where a team of people will give information to the main character, but they all speak one sentence at a time. Like, Ethan, you need to put on this. You need to put on this suit, because if you don't put on the suit, you won't be able to breathe. And if you do breathe, you need to do it. But you want to go, hang on. How did you know they were going to stop speaking? Yeah, that's really weird that you all it's almost like you pre-rehearsed this conversation before you come in here. You're like, okay, you say a sentence, then it'll be your turn. And also about that submarine sequence is that they had Katie O'Brien flirting with Ethan Hunt, and and the thing that's crazy about that is Katie O'Brien probably in cinema history is one of the most openly LGBTQ female actors that there's ever been. And of course, Tom Cruise is like, yeah, well, she'll want to fuck me, so put her in the film. It's like she looks like she could kick your head in. She looks like Sylvester Stallone.
She does. But I mean, it's a great point that that sequence that we open with is actually sort of all of the people take turns like explaining how this is going to work and what we have to do, and all of that. It's like, oh, we all only know a piece of this, so we each get a turn here. It did get quite the pop in the theater that I saw it in when Mr. Milchick from Severance showed up as the commander of that submarine. I didn't know he was in it. I still don't know that actor's name, but I like him on Severance. And I think it's one of those things, Andy, where it's one of those like, wow, this is a great accomplishment of filmmaking that we're talking about the sequence. It's about 35 minutes. He talks one time, and even that, it's like, I don't even think it made sense for him to talk there, but he doesn't talk the whole time. So it is one of those things that's really impressive, like when the recent Planet of the Apes films made good ones, the previous one, not the most recent one, there's like these like first 10 minutes, it's all these CGI apes talking to each other and they're like grunting. And I'm like, oh, this is actually really engaging. And you don't think about it in the time, but you're like, wow, that was really a risk to have even Tom Cruise, the biggest movie star in the world, underwater, not talking for more than half an hour. Like you show this film on TNT one day, there's going to be 2 commercial breaks while he's still in the submarine,
Right.
But so you felt like that was a weak point in the film in terms of rewatchability, Andy?
Yeah. Based on what I know of Rogue Nation, which is more like a James Bond film where when after it's over, you don't even really remember anything of the plot or why you were enjoying it. It's just the most forgettable one to me. Whereas 2, while it is the most 2000s movie that's ever been made, there's so many things wrong with it, but the franchise was still in its infancy. It didn't know what it was going to be, right? So if you put 2 in a capsule, it was still the highest grossing movie. It beat Gladiator at the box office. And it has a lot of fun elements in it. John Woo's style, the mountain climbing sequence, the motorcycle sequence, the professional wrestling fight choreography. There's a lot of things that make 2 unique, arguably the worst in the franchise, but to me, it's too fun to ignore everything else as opposed to the forgettability of Rogue Nation.
Which one did they use the Limp Bizkit version of the theme?
That's 2.
That's 2, yeah. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that I'm right about that, but I'm like, Andy's gonna know for sure. I don't need to Google it when I've got Trucker Andy. So
we call those the L word over here. We don't say their name.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, Fred Durst and friends.
Last year, Limp Bizkit played the Belsonic Festival over here. That's Ireland's biggest, Belfast's biggest music festival. They played one of the nights, and I went just because it was a school reunion thing, and I thought, fuck it. I went to, just been to see the Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer, the Pet Shop Boys, and I thought, fuck it, I'll go see Limp Bizkit too, just because.
Yeah.
And they were shit. They were so shit. They played Break Stuff twice.
Of course,
And I'm like, I get that they have only one good song, but my God. The L Word, I didn't like Mission 2.
Hughezy, here in the States, if you get hired as a line cook, when they give you your apron and your spatula, they also give you a copy of $3 bill, y'all. It's still alive and well in every short order kitchen across the United States.
I'm not part of the hypocrisy police, of course, because Mission 2 gave us Metallica's greatest song, I Disappear, the song that everybody loved.
That's a great point.
It's the only time Metallica ever composed a song for a movie soundtrack was for that movie.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And
they were at their top of their game, right?
If only we knew the havoc that they'd wreak on cinemas internationally when they put out their own movie, and they thought like, well, we have to have a story in there because people don't want to watch us just play a concert. No, we do actually. Think about how many tickets you sell. Well, that would have been all right. Yeah. So that's really my memory on 2. And I do remember that, 3 was like a great reset. And that was, J.J. Abrams getting to direct a film for the first time, all because he ended up on a flight next to Tom Cruise and he sent him DVDs of Alias. And
yeah, and sadly not the last time he was going to direct.
It's a great point, Hughezy. Although I enjoy some of the movies that he's done, but I think the overall output is it leaves something to be desired. From Hughesy's channel, we have a celebrity here, somebody that I know both Andy and I got to talk to at Hackamania. Hughesy's heinous gout foot, and there is a picture of Hughesy's foot, which we've talked about on this show. This is formerly Dame Taft. Don't spurl the movie. Don't spurl it. Thank you. And he does point out this isn't the Blind Mike Project. I don't know what that show is, and I don't know where you can watch it and what time it's on. I don't know anything about the Blind Mike Project. I do like Blind Mike on Who Are These Socials, but we appreciate everybody who's here to see us. I don't know if you know Art Bell, who I believe is not the actual Art Bell because he's passed, but he says, complaint my pal said was, quote, too long, too loud. Women say that about Hughezy, folks. That's probably true, right?
Hey-o! It's so funny. I seen somebody, this is more of a Dabbleverse related thing. I saw somebody say on Twitter, I'm not going to see Dead Final Reckoning because it's too long. Yet they then also sat down and watched an entire Karmic X live stream.
Yeah.
And he does 6-7 hours. It's like, you fucking dickheads.
They're like, no, I mean, I watched 6 hours of Keanu Thompson and Nick Rekieta fighting on this little piggy, which I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't watch, but it's a great point that this movie is not even 3 hours, which unfortunately we live in an age where like 3 hours is kind of a benchmark. It's pretty common. I'm sure that the next Matt Reeves Batman movie will be 4 hours just because he feels like he can, because the last one was so good. But there's so much in this movie that is fun. It is nice to visit with these characters, and it's interesting that a lot of times you'll see a movie. A perfect example is the voices of the main toys in Toy Story. You're all like, oh yeah, if I was casting something in like 1993, these are who I would hire. And then it's a lot of people who you're like, I don't know how much they'd be working, but Ving Rhames was definitely a guy to hire in 1996. And I'm glad I don't see him in much of anything except these, and I'm like, well, good for him, that he's still working. And to something that Hughezy referenced earlier, I'm glad that he finally has gotten his walk back from Pulp Fiction. I think it took a little while for him to be able to have a good stride. So Hughezy's saying that he thinks this might be the best one. And I feel like this one was very good. I think it's a very fitting ending. We should talk about someone I extended an invite to, but he was very busy having brunch today. We all know the great Vinnie Paulino from the Creep Off. Vote for Vinny. And he hated this movie. I really wanted him to come on. I wasn't gonna beat him up. We weren't gonna gang up on him or anything. I was just like, oh, just tell us why you hated it. But I found it hard to believe. I'm like, you could think that this one's not great. You could think this one isn't the best one, but I'm like, I don't know. I didn't find it hateable. You know Vinny better than any of us, Andy, because of geography. You actually live close to him. What do you think this says about him? Is he broken inside and he can't let Tom Cruise provide some love for him?
Yeah, it's hard to not be close to Vinny, if you know what I mean. But Vinny is just a contrarian. I feel like he sees everybody online saying how much they like it, and he has to be the one person to say that he didn't. And I agree with you. I don't know how you watch that final biplane sequence and not enjoy that. Maybe the lead up is too long of a runway. Get it? But I like all the tie-ins and the throwback to the first movie. We brought up J.J. Abrams. They retconned the rabbit's foot, which was always just a MacGuffin that didn't have any kind of explanation in 3. So for them to tie that in, I found that interesting and satisfying. I liked all the flashback stuff that made the whole, like, a generation-defining franchise relevant to the last movie. So I mean, I wish he was here to tell us exactly what he didn't like about it, but I think it never slows down. They're just, except for the underwater sequence where they're just like moving everything along, and there's very little downtime in almost a 3-hour movie.
You know, the one thing that I have to say that I really noticed about the underwater sequence the second time around is this sheer level of CGI being used.
Okay,
like, you could visibly see like, this is not a real submarine. This is a set. Like, I'm not, like, I wouldn't do it because I've got claustrophobia, but the only real thing he did was when he stood in that chamber and they filled the water up while Katie O'Brien found him attractive because she's in the men. So that whole thing to me was just I hate when they do that, when they go, oh, it's so real, it's so real. It's like, but it's not. The biplane stuff though was real, and it was really good. Right, guys?
I agree. And also the great Dame Taft coming in again. He quotes Roger Ebert: "No good movie is too long, and no bad movie is too short." No, but average movies can definitely be one of those things,
Isn't Katie O'Brien in there just so that there's somebody that's the same body type as Tom Cruise for him to steal a suit from? I think that's why she's there.
Yeah, that's true. Mr. Melchix wasn't going to fit him. But
by the way, just in the Katie O'Brien thing, have you seen her film? I think it was last year, come out, called Blood and what was it called? Oh, Love Lies Bleeding.
I did not see that film. I kind of remember it being out, but no, I didn't.
She plays a 1980s bodybuilder, and not to be rude, but nice fucking arse on her.
Oh no, there's nothing rude about that. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you cut through to the important things, and I think that it's obviously these movies, and Andy, you rewatching them in order, there is definitely a feel of like, okay, now we have to one up it, because the previous movie had the jump off the motorcycle, which to me wasn't even the most impressive stunt in the movie. There was another one where he did more, but this was like, all right, well, now we're going to do this airplane thing where it's upside down. And I mean, is he stopping doing these movies because no one will insure him now that he's 60? I mean, how much of that is there? And is this the most impressive of these big set pieces, these big stunts Andy, or was there one where you were like, all right, well, this was actually more impressive? But to me, this is the most memorable, but it's also the one I just saw like 2 weeks ago, and I'm old now, so maybe I just can't remember a better one.
I think you're right. This is definitely intense. I can't imagine watching it in IMAX. I don't like heights. I don't like flying. I was sweating just sitting there watching it. And the other one that comes to mind, probably for the same reason, is when he's scaling the skyscraper.
The Burj Khalifa. Yeah.
In Ghost Protocol.
Yep.
That one is a lot of fun. I think that one's really high up on my list because of the Brad Bird, the comedic timing of a lot of the sequences where they have the fake screen and they're tricking the security guard. It's very it seems like you're watching The Incredibles, but it's live action. And I still think Fallout is probably one of the best one. While I sit here and say that Rogue Nation was the worst, the one that directly follows that with the same villain who is unrecognizable. I think I didn't even know it was the same guy. Somebody had to explain it to me. But Henry Cavill and that sequence, that again, an aerial finale in Fallout. Those are all of the most intense stunt sequences to me. But then you have the plane takeoff in Rogue Nation, which again, it's like that shoots its load right at the beginning, and then the whole rest of the movie is forgettable. Whereas this one,
which is something Hughezy can relate to.
But this biplane thing, he's just dang. I don't care how many things you have attached to me that are also attached to the plane. It would just be a line of diarrhea coming out of my pants if I was doing this. I can't imagine doing this.
Yeah, I think it is impressive. It's crazy that he wants to do these things himself, and I think the back and forth, which, you know, talk about guys that you hire because it's the early 90s. Isai Morales coming back for these last two, who I think is actually great. And I think the way that he ultimately gets his comeuppance is very funny, and it's definitely a little bit anticlimactic. You know, he's like, oh yeah, all right, I'm winning here. And then, you know, everybody's winning right up until they take a blade from a propeller to the temple, and then they're not winning anymore. So, you know, Weasel 3001 does ask an important question. Does the Church of Scientology make a cameo in this? And that brings me to something that, Andy, you and I talked a little bit about Tom Cruise when the last time I was on All Apologies, because he sort of has this ability where you know, his personal life is crazy, and it's really head scratching. And there's a lot of things that you're like, yeah, what is it about this guy? But then when I see him in a movie, I'll like instantaneously forget any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the example that before the last one, my friend Eric, who I went to go see it with, we were joking about how, oh, I wonder if the mission is going to be to find David Miscavige's missing wife, you know, the president of Scientology. And we're joking about that. And I'm like 30 seconds into the movie, I don't even think about it anymore. You know, I'm like actively locked into like, yeah, this guy's really crazy. And I want to get to a quick film clip here, a video clip. We're going to the videotape, but to me, it's fascinating that he's this guy on the screen, and we're able to separate it from probably the cringiest television appearance that a huge star ever made.
Are just out everywhere, kissing and hugging. I go, what has happened to you? What has happened to you?
He's standing up for our audio audience. Fist bump.
We can pause there.
Yes, sir.
The one of the things that, of course, it was dating Haley Atwell during the making of Seven.
Yeah.
If I banged her, I would literally be running through the streets going, "Guess what I just did?"
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I would definitely, you know, have like a publicity photo of her and just zoom in on the chestal region and just brag about like, I know what they look like. You know?
Ah, come on. She's got a great big arse as well. You're being a real creep, Christian.
Yep. You know what? You're absolutely right. But, as the time goes on along this, he's here with Oprah, who, couldn't have left TV any sooner. But here he is. And the studio audience is like, oh, this is great.
Happened to you. Something happened to you.
I'm in love.
By the way, he's not even talking about Michelle Williams. Of the Dawson's Creek cast that I would be excited about, number one would obviously be Josh Jackson. I mean, if I was dating Josh Jackson, I would be bragging about it. Then I would put Michelle Williams. I mean, I am going to put Katie Holmes before James Vanderbeek because I'm not crazy. But, I mean, this is crazy. He's jumping up and down about Joey Potter.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
there's a Sam Raimi film called The Gift. And
that's okay. Yeah, that's it. You know what? That is a great point. I forgot about The Gift because that movie was a gift to all of us, wasn't it, Hughezy?
Yes, and not to be creepy or lower the tone, but if anyone is watching this and you go check out the film The Gift, I think you get to see Katie Holmes' cunt hair. Country hair. She's playing the country.
Country Maid, yes. I am glad that you put that in a tactful way. That's what people expect.
And I thought, you know what? I have to tell you, no, when you meet someone that's like, you go, huh? And there's so much that we have in common.
How many times have you met someone where you went, huh? And you just need to jump about it. I'm with Tom on this. So many of those girls that I've known in my life who I went, huh?
And I just thought,
he got.
I heard you.
He dated Sofia Vergara temporarily as well, but then it was the sheer lack of what do you call it? Privacy, because she had a kid and he couldn't do anything without needing like a full security team. So she's like, I know, thank you, Mr. Cruz. That's exactly how she speaks. That's not racist.
No,
and
I think that's you've actually worked long and hard on that impression, so I know that's accurate.
And think about what he's like you're Tom Cruise. You can fly your own planes and stuff. Imagine you get to take Haley Atwell or Sofia Vergara up on your plane, and I don't mean to be vulgar, lower the tone. You get to titty fuck them and drop them off home on the roof of their house while you fly back to your mansion because you're Tom Cruise. Like, he may be the coolest fucking guy ever, despite being a complete geek.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because of the sort of the timing of all this is around Mission Impossible 3, and the understanding that I have is that he wanted Scarlett Johansson to be the female lead in that, and that was also going to be part of this narrative that was very well planned out, allegedly. And she's like, no. I want a real loser. I'll wait for Colin Jost. So
that guy, a taller version of Tom Cruise,
with faker teeth, by the way.
Mission Impossible 3 trivia for you. So of course, Mission 1 had U2 do the song for it. Or should I say Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen did the music for it. Mission 2 had Metallica and Limp Bizkit. So for Mission 3, they got Kanye West. And the song was so shit that even though this was pre any controversies from Kanye West, they just dumped the song in the middle of the end credits because it was so bad that even they were like, no, fuck, this is terrible.
So which one is worse, that or Aerosmith's version of the Spider-Man theme?
Oh, whoa. I actually played that the other day with my mom, and she abandoned me.
Yeah. She's like, I wish I had done this sooner and just watched that. All right. I want to pay off
And
this
you behave this way
craziness.
before.
I know.
Because this
Have
is
you
something
ever
that we
felt
think.
this
There he
way?
is, jumping up on the couch. And how this is like almost 20 years ago. And how am I able to? This is actually literally 20 years ago. That's the anniversary of that. How am I able to separate that? What is it about this guy that he's so good in these movies? I can't, there's plenty of people that I can't separate their private life. Not true talents like Kevin Spacey or the aforementioned Jared Fogle. But what is it, Andy? You watched all these movies. Did you start to think during them like, yeah, but God, what is it with those those videos where he's laughing, talking about L. Ron Hubbard or getting into fights with Matt Lauer, which, time has told us that Tom Cruise is on the right side of that.
This is a guy that is almost literally on another planet, right? He does not.
Well, he believes he's going to another planet.
Right.
Yeah,
He
Xenu will be
doesn't
there. Yeah.
exist in a normal reality like the rest of us. And this isn't even a joke. When you have this much privilege and this much money and this much fame, you can't relate to normal people. I think oftentimes he's cosplaying as a human. Like, this is what people want to see. You can feel that energy in that clip. All those women in the room, they're all dropping their panties and getting wet because Tom Cruise is in love. That his ego barely fits, in the room with Oprah's, and everybody is just excited to be there. And you get this kind of Howard Dean moment where he thinks that in this moment, he thinks everybody loves him until that goes online and everybody's like, what is this guy so excited about? And even you could see him kind of like, oh, I'm being ridiculous. And he starts laughing at what he just did. So it's definitely performative, and maybe it was over the top, but I do think he puts himself out there to his audience all the time. There's clips of him showing up on opening night, eating popcorn with the people that are running the concession stands.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Andy. Why don't we?
Wait till you see this. Like, look at that. That's real.
That's insane. I'm watching a movie in 40X.
It's gonna shake you up.
But and by the way, I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. He is, but there is something where he is cosplaying as a human, because there is also this video of him eating popcorn that you've never seen anything like this before. You actually don't even need the audio. He's just, I mean, I eat a lot of popcorn because I go to a lot of movies, and I've never once tried to eat it the way that Tom Cruise is doing it here. I mean, what do you think when you see this, Hughezy? Tom Cruise's latest assignment, should he choose to accept it, is try to pretend to be a person.
Well, I know I'm always making jokes about race and gay people and saying horrible things about women, but I'm going to say something controversial here. I hate popcorn. It stinks. I don't fucking like it.
Wow.
The only food to have at a cinema is one of those ridiculous Frankfurter foot-long hot dogs, and if they don't have it, then I'll have nothing. Popcorn stinks, and the way. So I understand the promoting a film that really needs to make a shitload of money for them to make any profit, and it's not. This film is going to be the biggest financial failure in cinema history. Quote me, because it needs to make 1.2 million to break even.
You mean billion, right?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said 1.2 million. I know the exchange rate is confusing, but I think Madam Web made 1.2 million.
Yeah, it has to make 1.2 billion to break even. The biggest mission film made 700 million.
Yeah.
This is not going to make that. This is going to, and that's one of the reasons why I think they're marketing this as the final one, is because it's going to lose so much money anyway that the studio's going to say, listen, they're going to make this for like a quarter of the price, or else we have to stop.
Well,
but regarding the popcorn thing, sorry, they're trying way too much to be like, go to the cinema, live life at the cinema. It's like, but okay, but shouldn't we also be encouraging cinemas to get better food in? Could you imagine if you could get pizza slices at the cinema and you go hungover? You'd end up spending about $100 because you'd be enjoying Hurry Up Tomorrow starting the weekend so much.
I don't want to go all MAGA on you, Hughezy, but here in the United States, at least the chain that I go to, AMC, I'm able to get pizza. I can definitely get pizza at the theater, and chicken fingers,
whole pizza.
Yeah. I can't get a whole pizza, but I do think that someone would disagree with your assessment of popcorn, and it is part of this message, and that's of course
I love my popcorn.
Tom Cruise.
Jesus.
Movies, popcorn.
Yeah. And this is not some of his best acting.
All right. Popcorn.
Now I'm annoyed.
Movies, popcorn.
And that's not even for this one. This is for the last one.
Because
that's how you get in that type of physical condition at his age, by a popcorn heavy diet.
By the way, our great friend Dominicus Saxon, I stopped by AMC theaters just to fill up my popcorn bucket, then leave without buying a ticket. I mean, I've gone to use the restroom when I'm in New York City because I have the A list, and I'm like, well, I can. I don't want to see the Flash again, but I will go ahead and flash someone in the restroom.
Just to humble brag.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So in my cinema, the one I go to, there's a bar, so you can get a Guinness and whack off in the dark.
Yeah, a lot of theaters in the U.S. don't, but I do go to one that does have it. Brent Monkhouse says in Ireland, all you get is popcorn and a boiled potato, but that actually sounds delightful. So
yeah.
But Adam Lassiter is trying to get you to move here. I believe you're not allowed to enter the country for, just because of other things you've entered. Maybe I'm wrong there, but.
Yeah, I was sent to pre-deportation.
Go ahead, Andy.
I was. Now I'm annoyed with the popcorn thing because initially I was thinking nobody promotes movies this way anymore. You don't see the star of the movie showing up and watching the movie with the audience as much. But I know that what he's doing here is trying to prop up the industry that has been so good to him. Yeah, people are famously saying that, or Spielberg said that Tom Cruise saved the theater going experience. Yeah. And that is so dependent on them charging 100 times what, to Hughesy's point, is one of the cheapest, shittiest versions of a snack is. That's where they make all their money. So now I'm thinking that's what he's doing here. He's saying, go spend an exorbitant amount of money on something that's everybody understands as a complete ripoff. And I think that's to the point that he's trying to save theaters by convincing you to spend way too much on pop.
Let's not forget getting a soda, a soft drink is, I don't know, cost the theater, I don't know, maybe like 2 cents for the syrup, but you're going to spend, I don't know what it is, like $10.50 or whatever, So yes, it's a lot of profit. In the old days, the theaters only made money on concessions. They didn't actually, but there was some renegotiation that went in, but it's still a big part of their business. And look, I understand that. And he does do a good job. We were talking about this appearance on Pat McAfee that he did, and that's actually one of the things that I have is him talking about and I feel like, if I know Andy, you're going to have some of the cringier stuff, but this is sort of, to me, it's like kind of commendable. He talks about
Spielberg comes out and says, like, hey, this guy saved the industry. And that's obviously something that I assume you want to deflect to the entire team. And obviously you talk about your team in a way that any great leader would, any great coach would. You're talking about wanting to draw the best out of people and what is the talent we have, and then let's make the movie around that. That's a football coach. That is a sport coach. I love to hear your leadership.
I'm going to pause that for a moment because I don't feel like he usually handles this like a coach. He's usually, he might give McHugh, his buddy Christopher McQuarrie, a little bit of credit, but he's usually like, no, we save movies by me.
But whenever that is bestowed upon you during COVID, when they thought the movies were going to be dead, like everybody was going to stream, did you take that upon yourself? Did you feel a little bit of weight of the industry? And how have you kind of navigated that?
Well, what I did is basically, I did, because look, my friends, it's not just.
It's a good look, by the way. Tom Cruise in sunglasses and a mask, proving that no one can look cool with a mask on.
About the films I'm making. The difference in movies, I guess, and other sports is I've never felt competitive with other people. I'm like, I want everyone to do well. And so, I did. I just made sure that mission got made, that when everything shut down, I really worked and had to take it on. And, I talked to McHugh, who writes and directs and produces these films. And I was like, we're going to have to really do this. And I'm going to stay in. Are you in? And
there was. Yeah. So,
there's a YouTube channel, pretty successful, called It Was
I just worked with the government.
Sorry about that. What was that? I forgot.
There's a YouTube channel called It Was a Shit Show, and they make these documentaries talking about crazy productions and of TV shows and behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
They just did one about the Mummy, and they said that basically what goes on with Tom Cruise is that he'll hire a talented director who doesn't have a lot of power in the industry. So while they're working together, it's like, yes, but I think this is the best idea. So you're getting to do what you want because I say it's okay. And if I think, oh no, we'll move the camera this way, then we're doing the Tom Cruise's way. I genuinely don't know why he doesn't just direct the films himself.
Well, I to the aforementioned encounter with J.J. Abrams, I mean, he was not a film director, and he may never have become a film director, at least not for a long time. And I think it was one of those like, all right, I know how to play the game. I'm going to collaborate with Tom Cruise. I actually forgot I broke the clip up. Let me finish that thought, and I see that Andy has something. I like this tactic for how he saved the film industry, which there are plenty of people, I think, who are like, oh, we don't need it. I just want to watch things streamed at home. But I will remind people that I live in Los Angeles, which is really built on the idea that the movie industry does well. And my wife is actually a very successful television writer. So I need all of this.
I just worked with the governments. I called one studio and this is what I really did. I called the studio. I was like, yeah, you guys shooting? He's like, no, we can't. We're all shut down for that. I said, oh, wow. I said, we're shooting our movies. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, we're making our movies. And then
I made this point when I showed this clip to my buddy Eric Zane on Who Are These Broadcasters, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. If I was interviewing Tom Cruise, I would fake laugh really hard, like McAfee and his guys just did. I'm not even going to fault them because it's like, oh, this is crazy that you're doing this sports show on ESPN in the middle of Indianapolis, and Tom Cruise is talking to you. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's really funny. But I do think it's interesting, this tactic.
So I called back a week later and I was like, how's it going? They said, oh yeah, we're shooting our films. I said, because we're coming out next summer, And I said, so we're on this date. I hope you're not on this date. They're like, well, we're making our movie and we're coming out next summer. And then I called the studio that I was working with. I said, look, all these guys are making movies. We got to make movies. So, and I just kept everyone working through.
Yeah. So again, he's not deflecting any of the credit there, but I do think it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, you should definitely lie when it comes to that. What are your thoughts on all that?
This is what my mom does to my siblings and I. She's like, oh, I was just talking to Joe Sixpack and he's doing X, Y, and Z for Mother's Day. I hope you're doing something special for Mother's Day. And she's just like gaslighting. He's gaslighting the whole industry.
Yeah.
But my whole thing about that is, and obviously I'm a huge cinema going guy. Like I love going, and just the humble brag, a couple of weeks ago, I went to see Final Destination 6 and Hurry Up Tomorrow on the same day. Thank you very much. Both shit. But the thing about them is that we've got to stop trying to get people to go see blockbusters because people are bored of like, oh no, the ship's gonna crash and they're fighting on top of the burning building. Oh no. We need to get people to go start seeing regular dramas and thrillers and comedies again. When you look at Star Wars, for example, we've now got exactly Star Wars on TV. Like, even if you think it's shit, the production quality of TV equals cinema. So stop trying to be like, oh, Independence Day 3 or whatever the thing is. We got to get people going to see smaller films, which will immediately be more profitable, which is better for everyone. I personally am more excited to see 28 years later than I am Mission Fantastic Four. Woke Pedro.
Well, I was going to say that's probably because of some of the casting. To your point earlier, Hughezy, about the fact that they needed this movie to make, $1.5 billion. It is crazy to think about that. Like, I remember the second Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man, like grossed $500 million. And they were like, well, this is a huge failure. That's like more than a decade ago. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't think I understand the movie industry. That $500 million sounded like, a lot of money, and yet this movie opens number 2 behind the live action Lilo and Stitch. and a movie that most people have seen, the cartoon version, and I did take my kids to see it, but it was also like, this is a lot like the cartoon one, and Stitch is a cartoon in the cartoon one, and then the live action one, Stitch is basically a cartoon. But that made crazy amounts of money, and I was like, all right, I don't think I saw that coming. Andy, I know you have a clip on deck of Tom Cruise on Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
What do we need to set it up?
I hope this is one of them, because we had about 4 different versions of this same clip where Tom Cruise won't shut up about taking dance lessons and trying to be a song and dance man, like Christopher Walken in Weapon of Choice. He wants you to know that he is a jack of all trades, and he just keeps bringing up the joy that he gets out of singing and dancing over and over again. I think this is one of those clips.
Okay.
Would ensure, that I was able to do a great job for the neighborhood, for the person, and they were happy, and then they wanted me back to do the job. And so I, those kind of basics of discipline, of learning a craft, of my interest in life. I'm not just, it's movies encompasses cultures, encompasses engineering. And, I fly jets, aerobatics, and aircraft, and I sing and train in dancing, and I'm constantly studying engineering and mechanics and history and architecture, and
Of course.
also studying to be what it is to be a leader,
and also pretending that I'm human. So there's a lot that goes into
That's
this.
what he's talking about, having a work ethic. And he was talking about the only other relatable job that he ever had was mowing the lawn in the neighborhood. And then he did The Outsiders, and he was a megastar from then on,
Yeah.
So he has no relatable job experience to point to except that. But that was one of the first times he brings up being like training and singing and
song
dancing.
and dance
He uses so much in his career.
What do you think about this, Hughezy?
Yeah, I've got a job that he'd be good at. How about taking Suri for lunch?
Yeah.
See your daughter.
That's crazy talk. All right. And he has the other kids with Nicole Kidman, but
he sees Philip Seymour Hoffman more than he sees his own kids.
Do we need to set up this other clip you have from Pat McAfee, Andy?
No, when that started playing, I didn't think it was the right clip, so I queued up another. But it's more of the same. You don't.
It's the same. All right. So we won't get to that. And by the way, the fact is that I did see this at an AMC theater, and people who go to those do know that there's a pre-show. In fact, we have a parody of it as the intro for a lot of the audio versions of this show, and it's by Nicole Kidman. And then the IMAX version cuts right to Tom sitting in a chair telling us, like, thanks for coming to the movies and all this. And so it was nice, a little reunion between the two of them there in the theater. And sorry, I saw a comment that I'm not going to bring up.
Yeah.
And Weasel does ask a good question. Can you name a movie that is currently playing in theaters that is not based on existing IP brand, not a sequel, prequel, sidequel, etc., not a remake? Sinners is the only one that comes to mind.
Hurry up tomorrow.
Wait, Andy, which one did you say?
Clown in a Cornfield.
Clown in a Cornfield is original IP. And what were you saying, Hughezy?
Yeah, Hurry Up Tomorrow was out. Like, it's not very good, but and it's basically a remake of fucking Misery. But it's a low. That's another thing, because that was made for like 15 million.
Yeah.
And my hilarious joke, get ready to laugh, guys.
Always
is
ready.
They used footage from the Weeknd's concert performance in the film, and he's a stadium act these days.
Yes, he is.
So there's literally more people in the film than bought tickets to see it.
I think that the day I saw this, actually, I finally got around to seeing the war epic Warfare, and that's it's based on a true story, which is also it's an incredibly well made movie. It's great. It's it's very intense drama, but it's also a movie that probably a lot of people aren't talking about. Earlier, Brent Monkhouse said this: "Is it me, or is movies not as good as the 80s or 90s? It's just not worth the money anymore." I do think a lot of people feel that way. I disagree. I do think got to the point now where you need to be a little bit more discerning. I mean, you know, even my wife, who I'll flex, is 7 years younger than me. We have these shared experiences that we would go separately. I didn't know her yet. We go to like every movie that came out, and you kind of didn't usually think about whether it was good. I mean, if you go through like the highest grossing films of every year of the 90s, a lot of those movies are not very good, but you remember seeing them and it was fun. Some of us ate popcorn, not Hughezy, but I was there with Tom Cruise trying to throw it into my mouth. But I think that there's plenty of great films still out there. And, you know, this franchise, of course, straddles that era he's talking about in 1996 and also still present day. And I do like the callbacks. I do like that the guy that they need to get the location of the submarine from turns out is the guy who, in the memorable hanging from the ceiling in the first one, it's basically the guy who he got fired. And I like that they got that guy. I like the callbacks. You were talking about that earlier, Andy. And I think it's a good time for this franchise to end, not from a financial standpoint. I mean, he's 60 now, and it's like he's doing these stunts. It's like, you know, I mean, and he's talking about making another Top Gun. And it's just like, at some point, you just be a guy in a movie, you know, you don't have to do all this stuff. But I don't know. I don't think that's the way he looks at it. I think it was a fitting ending. I would like to know what Vinny hated about it, but you know, Andy has me convinced now that he was just going to hate it no matter how it was. But
I did not. I'll say the very end where it's a longing glance at the people that helped the mission succeed, and most of the people didn't show up until the last movie. It's except for Simon Pegg. It's kind of like, well, it's like Paul Rudd being at the finale of Friends. It's like, well, you have no business being here, a black guy that barely did anything in the movie. I don't know. There was a little tone deaf to me, but aside from that, I'm trying to think of any other criticisms I really had of this film, aside from the underwater sequence being hard to rewatch. Like I can't see myself staying awake for that if I put it on.
Try being in a theater where that sequence starts at 11:45 p.m. Andy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so ill-conceived. It's literally a sensory deprivation sequence. Once all the claustrophobia and tension of how he's going to get out of it is removed, it's sensory deprivation.
I mean, there's definitely frustrating plot holes in this one. Like when Luther says to him at the start, he's like, Ethan, I've made you this device. It's the only thing that can stop the upload. And Ethan goes, will you keep that? And I'll go do it. It's like, no, take it with you. If you take it with you.
No. I insist. Why don't you put it around your neck? And where somebody can take it. By the way, did I miss something as to why he had to be in the hospital? That was one of those like, well, I saw this movie late at night. Why does Luther end up in the hospital?
He's just old and dying, right? He's I think it was out, so it's okay for you to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at the teaser trailer, there was footage of Luther on, working at some like computer system thing, and I think the general feeling is that he got like radiation poisoning or something.
Oh, all right.
For that, but there's definitely plot holes, and that bit when he survives the submarine, when Haley Atwell finds him to save him. I love that it's her that, like, it couldn't be Benji that found him, or the young, taller, muscular black guy that Andy hates so much. Yeah. It had to be Haley Atwell taking her vest off. And listen, I'm not stupid. I know when they're framing a shot for the lads, her tits were in a wonder bra, and the camera kept sort of going out of focus from Ethan Hunt to go, oh, and back to Ethan, and
the cameraman was like a cartoon character where the eyes go "Bawooga," and they go. But yes, I do believe that the only thing that would help him through that experience is Haley Atwell's bosom. You know, he needs to be cradled. He needs to rest there. Yeah, and I think that that is the level. I do know somebody that the swimming sequence in Rogue Nation was when they were like, oh, I can't see these movies anymore because even for these movies, they're too hard to believe. Him like, oh, my backpack doesn't fit through this, so I have to take it off, and I'm going to basically, be in my underwear, and I'm gonna, go back up to the surface. It's a little tough to believe, but at that point we're like, okay, well, at least he's getting off the submarine. Maybe that's what they're counting on, Andy, is the relief of like, all right, fine.
I would love for and if they do make a ninth one, if just somebody to go to him. So Ethan, why do you have a team? Because you do everything. So why are they here?
Yeah, somebody has to be human GPS.
Yeah,
but I just want to back up 2 seconds to my criticism of the ending and the point you were making about this being an opportunity for Tom Cruise to have some kind of intimate moment with Haley Atwell. The fact that he is a married man in the franchise, and Rebecca Ferguson and Haley Atwell, they're all so enamored with him, and it looks like they want to make out at any moment, and they never do because he's a married man and he's not going to cheat on his wife. And it's a perfect time to bring Michelle Monaghan back and like him be like, okay, now I get to go and be with my wife. And she shows up at that at the end, like the final scene of the movie, and she doesn't. Why not?
Yeah.
Like that was disappointing. We get whatever, Haley Atwell and the Chinese French girl that has no business being there. It gets shows up.
Who the actress's name is Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's actually what her name is. Yes, she is. She was an interesting addition to the team. And but you're right. It is sort of that. Look, you were talking about Paul Rudd being in the finale of Friends. At least the final episode of Growing Pains, they knew they had to write Leonardo DiCaprio out of the show the previous week because it's like, well, he's not really part of the family, and we're going to end the series. So right. I guess his dad will show up and rescue him from Alan Thicke because he lives up to that name. Let's just leave it that way. So look, I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I was like, oh, this is good. It accomplished what it set out to do. It's almost like now that I've seen it on IMAX, if I go to see it again, Hughezy, it has to be like a bigger IMAX, because I'm like, I can't go backwards. I can't go down to a regular movie theater screen. And I would have liked to have rewatched all of them. I would have liked to rewatch this one before we talked about it, but there's only so much time in the day. And yes, thank you, Ed Rooney. R.I.P. Alan Thicke passed away. It's true.
I'm actually planning to see it again in the 4DX cinema.
Okay,
because I went to see the last Star Wars that George Lucas made,
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I went to see that one in the 4DX in April.
You mean recently for its re-release, right?
Yeah. And it was amazing. And I was like, okay, so the 4DX is the thing. It's like the cheat code for the difficult video game. It's like, okay, this felt like I went to see the Meg 2 in the 4DX, but
the giant shark movie, yes.
Yeah, but when you're getting splashed with water and your chair's moving like Star Trek and stuff, you go, this is kind of great.
Yeah. Although back in the old days, if you were getting splashed with liquid in a theater, it meant you were at a different kind of movie. But now, fortunately, we can watch those movies in the comfort of our own home or our home cinema. How is porn on the home cinema screen, Hughezy?
Oh, I've never been down there long enough to worry. That's one of my biggest fears with porno these days is going to the effort to put it on the screen. And then that's when your heart finally explodes and they find you and you're a cum-covered corpse while Agent 69 is on the fucking screen with full volume.
Shout out Pee-wee himself on Max.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. And Weasel says, off topic, what are your thoughts on recently imposed tariffs? 100% of movies produced outside the United States are foreign movies a threat to national security. You do realize, Weasel, that that's actually not happening. He just said that this is what we should do. So it's actually not going to happen. The movie industry might be run by some people who won't let it happen. And by that, I mean Bob Weinstein, because Harvey's otherwise detained.
Yeah, people gotta really stop listening to Trump, and they need to understand that he's trolling you, and he comes up with these crazy ideas that always get shut down. So why do you fall for it every time?
To get a little inside for some of our audience, Trump is basically Stevie Lou. All right. So if you read what he posts, you don't have to actually believe it and act to it and react to it. It's fine to just let it go. But less handsome, I would say. Trump is still a bit of a looker comparatively. So yeah, look, I'm not gonna Andy, even having rewatched it, I'm not gonna have you rank all the movies, but you feel like Fallout is your favorite, and is this one kind of middle of the pack? You're like, okay, this one's still good, but Fallout is right there at the top for you.
Yeah, personally, I like Ghost Protocol,
Okay.
Fallout, and then probably this for the end. Like the last hour of this movie is probably right up there in the top 3. That just the biplane sequence alone is incredible. It's an incredible. It's worth the price of admission just for that.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to explain to those ladies who worked in the theater that that's real. So they're like, all right, I guess I'll see it in 4DX.
You black people need to understand that we can do things.
I think that is the subtext of what he was saying. Hughezy, where does Mission Impossible Final Reckoning compare to all the films in the Fast franchise?
I think that the problem with the Fast franchise is much like those tariffs, is that they worry too much about going international, which means that they're less profitable. Because Fast X is great. I will defend Fast X forever. But yeah, I think that Mission 8 needs to be the end. I think that Tom, it's getting too risky to do the shit that he wants to do the way he does it. I've heard he's making a Days of Thunder sequel. So I'm going to assume that if he doesn't unalive in the middle of Top Gun, he definitely will in Days of Thunder 2.
Earlier, Brent Monkhouse said the next Top Gun will be him on a laptop flying a drone. We're pretty close to that.
Yeah. Did you know though? And McHugh, thank you, McHugh, get some popcorn. Come out and said that originally there was going to be a segment, a prequel. Not a prequel, a flashback segment that showed how Ethan joined the MI5, where him, the villain, and another woman, which was going to be Julia Roberts.
Oh,
and it was going to be them with the de-aging technology, and they were working at some agency where they would steal stuff and break in, but then the villain, who was in 7, framed them, shot the woman, and Ethan was then arrested, and because of his skills was recruited into the MI5. But then they realized that would have been like 40 million extra. So can you imagine if they'd have done that? Like the film would have been 10 hours long.
It would have been 40 million extra, at least 40 minutes extra. And look, I mean, that is interesting. I know that the plan for the first one was to have the team that is unalived in that sequence was going to be the actors from the original TV series, who even at that point were all in like their 60s. So fortunately, Martin Landau said no. But I like that sort of idea. But
did you like that they had to make the Shea whatever guy, Jim Phelps's son?
Yeah, I don't know. That's right. I actually forgot about that, because you want to talk about something that didn't really land in the movie. It's pretty much that, right? I don't know. And he's like, and then I'm going to give you a handshake at the end.
Respect.
Yeah.
That didn't land well. You know what? I'm going to assume that that's something that Vinny hated, and he's probably not wrong about that. What did you think about all that, Hughezy?
Yeah, that was. I like the fact that there was a callback, but now I thought there could have been a way that they could have played more into that. Like maybe he was going to shoot him, maybe he was sabotaging Ethan's mission. But yeah, that was like something that I didn't think was specifically necessary.
Yeah, I was trying to find it real fast, but I can't. But Kennedy, who used to be on MTV, had a run in at the Mission Impossible premiere, the original one with Martin Landau, because she didn't know he was on the TV series. So at one point he comes back and he's like, I can't believe you didn't know I was on the show. And she's like, oh my God, Martin. This was like aired on television. Like, this was edited into like a 30-minute special. And it's hard to find stuff from MTV, but good for Kennedy. She's on Fox News now. But it was just a little jaunt down memory lane. But I'm glad we had these 8 films, but I don't need more. I think that Tom Cruise is stepping out at the height of the franchise, as far as I'm concerned. And I think when they ultimately make another one, I'm gonna definitely be upset, because I'll be like, oh, come on.
They need some new blood for sure. He can't keep doing this. I think this was a good except for I guess if we're going to talk about things that we didn't like, the second parachute, which everybody kind of knows that there's a backup chute, but they cut away like he's not going to survive, and then they don't show how he does. I thought that was a little I don't know, just they built up this drama like maybe he's not going to make it, and then he's just like, oh no, turns out he's just fine.
No, I just got parachute. That's fine.
So that was, but it's like, whatever. I didn't want to see the guy die like it's the end of the James Bond franchise. I'm sick of all of our heroes getting killed off.
Yeah, and it's weird because ultimately James Bond's going to basically regenerate like he's a Doctor Who. So there's good. We got to see him die, but it's just Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
we'll have an AI George Lazenby in the next one, and everybody will go check it out. Finish your thought, Andy. I'm sorry.
Oh well, it's just like, is Tom Cruise just going to be the next Jim Phelps, and we'll get a female Ethan Hunt, like the way they made
non-white female.
The Armis was going to be the next James Bond, and now we get Ballerina, which I'm excited about. Yeah. Shout out Ballerina, but I don't think they should continue with this franchise. Just do something else. You could do another cool action movie that's similar, that is not cannibalizing a proven. That's why producers want to attach this name to another movie just because they know it's a proven success. But just do something else. It'll be a shit.
And just with a great reference, Toto Payne Diaz referencing, I hope that's not a butthole there, that picture. It actually doesn't look like it.
That's Ving Rhames' butthole.
Oh, that's fine then. Barbara Bain couldn't smile. Yes, I think that there had been a level of work done at that point. So yes, I believe that's why. And Master Chief says Mission Impossible was brilliant. I think that that's the takeaway, is that everybody seems at least reasonably happy with it. Everybody that I went to see it with, everybody's happy with this movie except Vinny. So that's all right. But in any case, well, I'm glad we got to talk about it and revisit all of these memories. And Andy, you did the homework that I just didn't have the time to do, and rewatch all of them. So I was like, all right, great. What's that?
It was my pleasure.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, absolutely. So Ballerina is this week, isn't it? So that's we're already that soon to that. And I think that they've done a smart thing, by the way, in the marketing. You let us know that Keanu Reeves is in that movie, because I'm sure that when they made it, they were like, oh, we could play it up like we don't know that he's in there. And they're like, no, we need to make sure everyone knows he's in it. It's like
we have to put the Red Hulk in the.
Well, that's exactly the example I was going to use. You're like, oh, we can hide the Red Hulk. Nope, because then there's nothing for anybody to see there. So I'm looking forward to that. And what I'm also looking forward to for our live and current audience is Andy will be on Who Are These Broadcasters this Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the Who Are These Podcast YouTube channel. We've got a lot to focus on. We've got the Diddy trial, which some follow in different ways. Hughezy likes to put the lights down low and listen to the court testimony with a nice stiff drink in one hand, stiff something else in the other. And apparently, Elon Musk has ketamine raging through his body, surprising no one. But he did show up at the White House with a black eye, which is, of course, more notable than if he'd showed up with a black guy. Damn it. But so we'll be talking about all those things and more. And our buddy Carl was on with Alex Stein. So Eric Zane, Trucker Andy, and myself will all have that to talk about. And I want to make sure that we give Andy a chance to let people know where they can find All Apologies.
Yeah, thank you. Allapologiespodcast.com. That's everything. We are trying to get people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do that. Follow us on Instagram for everything that we have cooking up. And then check out the Patreon. We have the Neil Gaiman Masters series. That guy's heavily in the news with his essay allegations. And there's a whole terrible podcast series about it where they convince you that he's that all of his victims are wrong. It's like it's whole series about people shooting themselves in the foot with their allegations. They have voicemails of them saying, "Oh no, I love you, Neil. Please come see me and dom me and spit on my asshole." It's an insane podcast series that we cover on our Patreon. So check that out.
By the way, Hughesy's already clipped you saying that, so now he's got that for the big soundboard. Yeah, you played some of that on one time when you were on WATP, and it sounds like a dreadful podcast, but the kind of content that's great to highlight just how bad it is. Mm-hmm. And Hughezy, what's coming up over on Hughezy Entertainment? There have been you've had some tremendous guests lately. You brought Adam Bush and Tom Myers together so that they could have their one-on-one. Tom Myers says he'll never be on the network again. I don't think he's talking to you, but it sort of blew up my plans for something I wanted to do with him. But so you've had some big shows lately. What else is coming up on Hughezy Entertainment?
Well, honestly, I don't specifically know what's coming up because we're starting into the music festival season. So I've got a shitload of gigs coming up. But if anyone's feeling generous, Metallica is going on tour here next year, and tickets are a pathetic $700 per night. So if anyone wants to help me not have to sell my home cinema, you know where to donate to. But I'm at the Hughezy on Twitter and Instagram, and Hughes Entertainment on YouTube. I would change the name, but I've been plugging it for too long to have to suddenly change it.
Yeah, no, that's why my social media handle is for a radio show that went off the air 10 years ago. Too many people knew me as that, and I was like, oh, I didn't have anything good to change it to because I, haven't had a good job since then. Well, I am, by the way, Toto Payne Diaz with a 1999 super sticker. All that money is going to help Hughezy start saving up to see Metallica. I am glad that this came up. Because I do want to sign off in a moment, but I do know if people are tuning in to this combination of the three of us, what they do want to hear is Hughezy and Andy on opposite sides of Rage Against the Machine versus AC.
I love AC/DC now. I'm convinced.
Oh, okay. Well, this was a good debate.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm glad they had it.
I'm gonna no but your premise.
Yeah, but no. There's no Hughezy coming around and saying, although come to think of it, Rage Against the Machine are pretty great, because that's just not happening.
I'll say this: I like the Matrix song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. If a good song ends up in a movie. Well, I want to make sure everybody subscribes here to the Bladtcast, subscribe to Hughezy Entertainment, subscribe to All Apologies, check out all of that content, and we'll be back with more fun in the days and weeks ahead. I believe I'm talking to one of the screenwriters of Dumb and Dumber later this week, a Wednesday ? I forget. So, but subscribe to Bladtcast, BLADTCAST, and of course, follow me on social media at ChristianDMZ. I'm going to leave all of you with another moment where Tom Cruise shows us not only is he human, but he understands comedy.
I've been doing this a while, right? A few years, maybe 45 years, 45 years. Okay.
The greatest enemy is time.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Good.
The next villain is time.
And I love that so much that I am going to rewind it.
Is time.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Good.
The next villain is time.
So that'll be a drop in the future. Adam Lassiter trying to stir shit up. Rage Against the Machine sucks, but
Tom Cruise is a better rock star than Rage Against the Machine. Go watch Rock of Ages tonight, everybody, and get the extended rated R director's cut. There's a scene where he goes to the strip club with that blonde hair, and my God, I don't want to come across as sexist, but that cunt looked like she takes it right up the arse.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we could end on that, but Dominicus Saxon shouts out something from a past episode. If Christian had listened to Larry Wilcox, he might have found a job by now. Someone got me a cameo from Larry Wilcox, who is the other guy on Chips, so not Eric Estrada, the other guy. And he in it, he gives me his email to try and it's like, I'll let me know if I can do anything to help you. So Larry Wilcox has not really put my resume out there on monster.com, but one of these days. In any case, thank you to Hughezy. Thank you to Trucker Andy. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We will see you next time on the Bladtcast.